Despite a much celebrated matric pass rate, it might not be enough to build thriving communities. That's according to Anglo American's global head of education and community skills, Zaheera Soomar. She believes a holistic approach to education is needed to give youth the skills and opportunities they need for the digital economy. Soomar says we need to go beyond academic results. She joins me now to elaborate on the practical steps needed to prepare young people for life beyond matric. And she joins us virtually from Gqeberha in sunny South Africa. Zaheera, thank you so much for your time this evening. It's funny how things work out in terms of the golden thread, but I've had numerous conversations this evening focusing on what is needed for life after the big matric. We would have had all of these visuals now of matrics ecstatically happy, celebrating with their friends and family, and all of us sitting back saying, yeah, but what is to come? What is still to come around the next corner? And are you ready for it? You speak about an holistic approach to education that's needed. How do you explain that in real terms, however?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me tonight. Yeah, look, I think, I was encouraged by the matric results, but I certainly don't think it's good enough, and I certainly think we have a long way to go. I was encouraged because for the past 2 years, the narrative was still about COVID, recovering from COVID, and the impact that COVID had on the education system. I think this year, and we saw it with Minister Angie's remarks on the matric results, it wasn't about COVID. There were, COVID had some narrative, and we know that the matrics of the past year had, 2 years of COVID impact. But the narrative is no longer about COVID. We've recovered from that. There's a bit of load shedding in the narrative, and that's unfortunate because it does impact a student's ability to study, to prepare, especially in the rural communities. But when we talk about holistic education, it's not about what happens in the school. It's about what happens in the home. It's what happens in the communities. And we all need to play a part. We are not building academically strong people. We are building holistically good citizens. That's what we need in South Africa, and that's what we need to think about building. And we think about long-term, beyond the school gate. We think about employment and where this country is going. We need entrepreneurs. We need skilled people. We need ambitious people. We need good, moral, fibered people. So we need to be building citizens and good citizenship in our school, not just good math, science, English pass marks.
I've just found out more about an institute that's focusing on preparing women, South African young women outside of just after matric for entry into the ICT sector, because we believe there's a glut of jobs that are available there, but we don't have enough young women going into that. And the idea, of course, is, and it's always been in South Africa, you educate a woman and you're changing the lives not just of the woman, but of her family and her community as well. But that takes it a step further by saying, but where are the sectors that we can do that? Because we all know jobs are not growing on trees in South Africa. I suppose you'd agree that we need more of that, but in such a way that it has an impact on a family and then further on the community and growing from there.
100%. So, part of our education work, we've broadened it to skills. Youth skills, adult skills, but we think beyond schooling. It's about your ability to progress. It's not about just getting a matric certificate, a bachelor pass, and then what? You need to think beyond where is that student youth going? And you need to prepare them in school for those pathways after. So we run a number of skills workshops, skills programs as well. A lot of them are focused on the future of work, ICT, but we start in primary high school already with students. We start building digital literacy early, both with the teacher and the administration and the student. And that's important when you think about where the world is going. We do a lot of work in our rural communities, and when we think about where the future of work and the jobs are going to be, we cannot be playing catch up continuously. We need to leapfrog. Our communities need to be taken on the journey with everybody else, not continuously being at the back foot. We're never going to get out of this economic situation if that's the case.
How, however, do we approach that in a society like South Africa where, and even during the pandemic, it was something that became even more stark, the huge inequality in South Africa. And it was shown more and more when we looked at how various communities were able to deal or not deal with the challenges of the pandemic, that what it brought onto education, and how that widened the gap even more, because for certain South Africans, kids could log on at home, they've got fiber at home, classes went ahead online, and everything went, well, kind of smoothly from then. But the majority of South African children did not have that access. How do we get over the need to play catch up when we're dealing with so many problems in South Africa, like even just keeping the lights on, let alone getting schools on a lower quintile, as they call it, to have access to the internet, to have laptops that don't get stolen, because that's an issue that local education departments are dealing with on a daily basis. How do we keep those spirits up and get over the practicalities of breaching those gaps in a society like South Africa?
Look, to be honest, I don't think there's a silver bullet here. If there was, and if it was so easy, we wouldn't be sitting in this education crisis that we're sitting in at the moment. But, I mean, I think we need to band together, number one. I think that all of private sector, I think NGO, third sector, and government need to make it all of their problems, right? And when I say all of us need to band together, it's not all of us do piecemeal in each other's ways that we want to attack education or attend to education. We need to be putting out scaled solutions. We need to be working together. The more piecemeal approach we have in this country, the more it actually just disintegrates or segregates how education is being dealt with, because then you're taking the stand of, it's not my problem. I'm only going to worry about my bubble or my area, and I'm not going to worry about anything else. We need to be thinking about education as a whole collectively, and the community needs to come to the part. I work in a lot of rural communities in South Africa and in other countries. I was in Zimbabwe last week, and I can tell you the education system in Zimbabwe is far worse than the education system in South Africa in terms of the situation and complexities that they have to deal with. However, the community, the support that they give to a school, and the way that parents participate is far superior. And that's making a substantial difference in the progress we are seeing in our schools in Zimbabwe versus our South African schools. A clear example is in South Africa, we've connected all 200-odd schools that we work with in Limpopo, Northern Cape, and Mpumalanga region. And we've put devices for teachers and students in all of those schools. However, we're seeing the community members steal. They are breaking into schools, breaking down, bars to get to these laptops, and they're stealing from their own community schools. In other countries, we don't see this. We see the community taking a stand and protecting that school. So we all need to collectively work together, and we need to just change the situation. It's a societal situation. And unless we can help look after each other, we're going to be fighting against each other in these issues.
I feel like we could go on and talk about this for some time, but unfortunately we've run out of time. That's Zaheera Soomar. Thank you so much for your time. She's the Anglo American Global Head of Education and Community Skills. Some fascinating work, it sounds like she and a team are doing, not just in South Africa, but across the continent. And she joined us live there from Gqeberha.